Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Visioning Workshop for East Los Angeles. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to take a moment to let people settle in and then we'll get started. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the project website, which we will share with you in a future slide.
Bienvenidos al taller de visión para el este de Los Ángeles. Gracias por acompañarnos. Vamos a tomarnos un momento para que la gente se acomode y luego comenzaremos. Tenga en cuenta que esta reunión está siendo grabada y estará disponible en el sitio web del proyecto que compartiremos con ustedes en un momento.
I see someone has entered in the chat that they don't have any volume. We do have member of our IT here who may be able to help you with that. Do make sure that you have your audio set. Oh, I see you do have audio now. Okay, great. And we'll get started in just a couple seconds here. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So again, welcome to the Visioning Workshop for East Los Angeles. Thank you for joining us today. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the project website, which we will share with you in a future slide.
Bienvenidos al taller de visión para el este de Los Ángeles. Gracias por acompañarnos. Tenga en cuenta que esta reunión está siendo grabada y estará disponible en el sitio web del proyecto que compartiremos con ustedes en un momento.
Okay, so as shown here, language support is available. To listen to this presentation in Spanish, click the globe symbol at the bottom of your screen. We have here today Marina Sarache Ferrero providing Spanish translation. And if you have any technical difficulties getting to the Spanish channel, please use the chat box to let us know.
El soporte de idiomas está disponible. Para escuchar esta presentación en español, haga clic en el símbolo de globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla. Hoy tenemos aquí a Marina Sorache Ferreiro brindando traducción al español. Si tiene alguna dificultad técnica para acceder al canal en español, utilice el botón de chat para hacérnoslo saber.
All right, I'm just going to do a quick pause to let our translator get over to the Spanish channel and just keep a watch and see if anyone's having any issues doing the same. Okay, it looks like we're all set. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so before we get started, here's a few housekeeping items. Please note that everyone joining the meeting is muted by default. You may use the raise hand feature to talk. You can access the raise hand feature under Reactions selection menu, or you may use the chat tools to submit questions as shown here on the slide. Also, at the end of the workshop today, the County of Los Angeles would like you to respond to a brief exit survey. So we would appreciate you hanging on the line and participating. So we'll begin with some brief introductions. My name is Asha Blyer. I am today's meeting facilitator and a member of the DUDEC consultant team, collaborating with the County of Los Angeles Regional Planning Department on this project. Also from DUDEC, we have here today the project manager, Gaurav Srivastava. We also have John Camp and James Rojas from Placeit, who will be leading a couple of activities in a few moments. And from the County Regional Planning Department, we have, as shown here, Patricia Hachia and Erica Gutierrez, who will be available to answer questions at the end of our activities as well. Okay, so now that you know us, we would like to get to know you. We'll begin with a quick poll. asking what your relationship is with East Los Angeles. Do you live here, work here? There we go. Study here, own a business, property perhaps. Or if none of these quite fits you, you can select other and use the chat box to let us know. So I see a lot of you are already participating. That's great. Okay, we'll give folks just another second here. There we go. Okay, so you should see the results shared here. So quite a large percent, 74% actually live in East Los Angeles. That's fantastic. 30% work here, 11% study here, 7% own a business here, and 41% own property here. That's fantastic, a really nice diverse array of folks. And then just looking at the chat, we did have 7% indicate other. And we have someone who teaches students in East Los Angeles. Excellent. We have another representing, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but it's Community Land Trust in East LA. And so thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time. Okay, so now that we all know a little bit about each other, let's get started on a brief introduction of what the Metro Area Plan is. Okay, great. So the Metro Area Plan is being prepared by the Department of Regional Planning of the County of Los Angeles. Let us first set the planning area in a geographic context. Shown here is a map of Los Angeles County. There are 88 incorporated cities in the county. These cities are individually responsible for planning and regulating development within their jurisdictions. However, not all areas in the county lie within these 88 cities. The areas that are not within cities are referred to as unincorporated areas. Los Angeles County, via the Department of Regional Planning, is responsible for planning and regulating development in unincorporated areas. To effectively plan and regulate development in unincorporated areas across such a large geography, Los Angeles County adopted a planning framework in 2015. This identified 11 planning areas across the county. The Metro Area Plan is one of the 11 planning areas of Los Angeles County. So some of you may have participated in the introductory workshops on October 26th and October 28th. If you didn't get a chance to join us and would like to learn more about the Metro Area Plan, you can view the recording on the project's website. It's actually shown here, planning.lacounty.gov/Metro Area Plan. So you can see it on this slide, and then we'll actually include it in the chat box at a later time as well. So the primary goal of the Metro Area Plan is to update existing land use policies to address community needs. In addition, to simplify and streamline zoning rules, it will aim to consolidate regulations that currently exist across multiple plans. In evaluating existing land use and zoning, the Metro Area Plan will prioritize issues that are central to the lives of the community members. Foremost, it will utilize an environmental justice and equity lens to evaluate all recommendations, recognizing that the 7 communities have historically been disadvantaged via past planning decisions. Additionally, the plan will address the need for affordable housing, analyze the suitability of new housing in proximity to transit stops, and carefully study potential residential displacement. It will also implement zoning recommendations from the countywide housing element. With regards to transportation, the plan will focus on safety for bicyclists and pedestrians. The plan will also look at opportunities for economic development and new green spaces. This is just a preliminary list of priorities. And again, you can view the recording from the past introductory workshops on the project website to learn more about the metro area plan. So on this slide, we have a snapshot of East Los Angeles demographics. East Los Angeles is located east of Los Angeles Boyle Heights neighborhood and adjacent to the cities of Monterey Park, Montebello, and Commerce. East Los Angeles is the birthplace of the Chicano art and political movements and continues to influence and shape their broader identities. As you can see here by the demographics, it's the most populous of the 7 metro area communities with a population of about 126,000 residents, 97% of who identify as being of Hispanic origin. There are about 23,000 jobs in East Los Angeles. And I just wanted to mention before we go to the next slide, an activity that tonight's discussions are really centered around East Los Angeles neighborhood, which again is one of the 7 neighborhoods of this larger metro area plan. And we're excited to have a diverse group of representatives from the area here with us today. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to John Camp from Place It, who's going to be leading some of our breakout activities.
Thanks, Asha, and thanks everyone for being here tonight. So we're going to move on to the next activity, and this is actually going to be an interactive activity where you're going to have a chance to use your hands and build your favorite childhood memory and your creative ideas for East Los Angeles. So we're not just going to be talking the entire time. So it should be fun. So next slide, please. So the first model building activity that we're going to start with is building your favorite childhood memory. And so some of you are probably thinking, why would we do this? Next slide. We do this because when we build our favorite childhood memory, it takes us to a happy place. It takes us to a time where we belonged, where we were discovering things, exploring the world, feeling a sense of independence. And we can really tap into what our core values are. And that's what we really want to find out tonight, is what really matters to you. Next slide. And then with the second exercise, we'll be building our ideal East Los Angeles. And it's important to note here that we're going to be using our hands to do this. So instead of just talking about what you want, we really want folks to work with their hands. Next slide. So when we build what we want to see in our communities, we're learning about what spaces and places matter to us and about your hopes and dreams and visions for your neighborhood. Next slide. So when we say model building, I just want to make it clear that we're not talking about perfect models that are perfectly to scale, where you're using objects that exactly represent what you're trying to build. So you can use things like hair rollers, corks, pipe cleaners. You can use silverware, plates. You can use produce that you have from the kitchen. If you're at your office right now, you can use paper clips, pens, pencils, staplers, whatever. And those then you can use to represent various parts of your model. So you can be as creative as you want. You can be free and flexible with what you use. And we actually like it better when folks use these kinds of things because it allows us all to be much more creative than, say, if we were to use things like Legos, because then we end up being really constrained by these objects. And so we'll build like just buildings, whereas if you're using a whole bunch of found objects, you can build a lot of different things that might be in your memory or in your ideal community. Next slide. So this is a sample model. I'm going to go through 3 sample models just so you can see and get a sense of what you could use. So this is a model participant built of her favorite childhood memory, which was being with her family in Mexico and learning how to dance. So all of these elements in here represent different members of her family and learning how to dance. Next slide. This is a model a participant built of being with her family and being outside. And the next slide. And this is a model that another participant built of building a nativity scene with her grandmother, or a nacimiento. Great. Next slide. So what we're going to do now is we're going to break out into smaller rooms so that we can build our models and then share them with a smaller group. And that way everyone will have a chance to share. So we're going to do that right now.
Thanks, John. And just to add really quickly, so we're going to be doing these activities until about 6 o'clock. So we're going to be kind of keeping our eye on the clock, but just know that around that time, then we'll all come back to the big room and discuss together. So enjoy. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the main room. We're just going to give a couple seconds here for folks to assemble back with us.
Hey, Asha, just a quick suggestion. After we do the summary of these two activities, I heard from a number of our participants that they would like to have an open discussion about some of the planning issues that this plan should be addressing. So if we can set aside some time for that discussion before we do the final activity.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started then. Okay, so why don't we start with, let's do a bit of a recap of the recurring themes and comments that we heard. And before we continue, I want to make sure we're still recording, and it looks like we are, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Well, John or James, do you want to start first with initiating some of the recurring themes?
Okay, I'll go first. I think, yeah, it was great to really hear people's favorite child memories of East LA, because a lot of them involved walking and a lot of them involved walking, family, social interactions, and really a deep love for the community. So this really highlighted it. But we also talked about the current conditions where walking is not really possible because it's not that many shade trees, and there's a lot of parked cars, all over the community, and plus affordable housing, and also lack of affordable housing. Also all the industry that surrounds East LA, Union Pacific. So it's kind of looking at these industrial land uses and how to mitigate, between the residential zones and the pedestrian zones, and also developing, more, community land tracts to kind of preserve the housing that's there and bring more of it there, and really looking at the entrepreneurial spirit of the community. How do we highlight to small businesses, and how do we kind of give them a voice in this whole process and redesign the community? And also, any comments from my group? Fanny or Jessica?
Yeah, I just want to continue uplifting that the community land trust model is a tool to empower tenants so they can remain and reclaim and invest in their communities. Specifically right now during the COVID pandemic that has exacerbated our housing crisis, and most impacted are the most vulnerable, and they're most likely to get displaced from their home and their communities. And so we need to invest in a community land trust that's being led by community leaders, specifically here in the East Side. We want to make sure that we stabilize our communities, and who better than us as women of color leading the CLT ecosystem from the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Fanny. And Eddie, you would comment? You're on mute.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. The affordable housing crisis that we're having, every meeting I went to for Meta or for Consensus or any of these affordable housing, here's the truth of the matter. East Los Angeles has more than 126,000 people You can talk to public utility companies. Someone's paying over 100,000, 140,000 light bills. So we have more than that. We have the same amount of sheriffs that we did 10 years ago when we had less population. But yet we're doing affordable housing, low income. God bless them. We got to help them. They don't have family. They got to move somewhere. But East Los Angeles residents that need the housing, they're not getting placed. It's anybody from everywhere else. So we have 7 patrol cars. We have more low-income persons moving into East Los Angeles, and we have less of an infrastructure investment. So we need to get a moratorium on the affordable housing and an agreement from the government to house the local people. Because before you know it, we're gonna have 200,000 people in East Los Angeles with the same sheriffs, and we have already a 15-minute response time. We're putting ourselves in a very dangerous situation. And building affordable housing next to freeways, getting emphysema and asthma is not a wise way to go when you're trying to help somebody and you're putting their health at risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. John?
Yeah, so I wanted to just share what some of the recurring themes were with the memories in our group, and also what people built for their ideal East Los Angeles. We had some really great memories that people built, and there were some really strong recurring themes that had to do.
It's astonishing how these same issues continue even.
Okay. Can you mute yourself? Thank you. So some of the recurring themes in the memories had to do with family, discovery, independence, freedom, nature, green space, a sense of belonging, a sense of comfort, and a sense of safety. And then with the models that people built of their ideal East Los Angeles, there were really strong recurring themes of more green space, more trees, cleaner air, being able to walk safely around the neighborhood, affordable housing, businesses that people can walk to, food of all kinds, so not just restaurants, but also markets with healthy and fresh food, and then also community gardens where people can grow organic produce, because people felt like in its current state, East Los Angeles is very unhealthy. And so they wanted to see an East Los Angeles in which people are healthy in all manner of ways. Does anyone want to add anything from our group about their ideal East Los Angeles?
I guess I'll share is just zoning the industrial area, because we have a lot of people with cancer. We have a lot of diesels coming in and out. It's unbearable to see our pets die. My pet just died of cancer, and my neighbors this year. And my aunt on Whiteside next to the industrial and freeways, she died of dementia. So yeah, a lot of tree equity. We need tree equity. We need to cool down our communities.
Great, thank you, Sonia. Anyone else from our group before we move on? Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone for participating.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I'll just note a couple of things from our group, really follow suit, more trees, walkability. We also heard just better access to healthy food. And we spent quite a bit of time on air quality issues and the issues of housing in close proximity to industrial uses. So particularly noise and odor. So talking about, building an ideal community would be an attempt to kind of reverse, a lot of those concerns. And, just a lot of great feedback. And Gaurav, I don't know if you had anything to add. I know we want to make sure we save enough time to get to some of the greater discussion too. So.
Yeah. Sure. And I just have a couple of very specific additions from our group to what we just heard already. So I think for the childhood memories, what really stood out, I think, in our group was very specific references to activity on the streets, front yards, the idea of the fence of the front yard being a way to mediate between neighbors and people on the street and facilitate those interactions. There were references to walking, to taking the bus, and it all similar to what we heard from other groups. the sense of discovery, playing with siblings, friends, neighbors. On the second exercise, we had some very specific input. Again, it had to do similarly with healthier produce, places where you can actually get a good salad, quote unquote. Safer streets, lighting, more parks, not having to leave your neighborhood and community to go shop, I think was a clear goal that we heard from some of these discussions. But by and large, it fit the themes that the other three groups also heard and discussed. If anyone from my group wants to add to what I just said, please feel free.
I think there was a consensus that a lot of us remembered community celebration as a community of faith, and just the safety we felt as youth growing up in moving throughout the areas. Anybody else?
And I also invite if anybody wants to share from my group as well, of course, please feel free.
I just wanted to add real quick. I mentioned it in our group chat. I work for state agency Rivers and Mountains Conservancy, and we have funding opportunities from the state, and we're looking for more projects in East Los Angeles. I live here. We didn't get too many grant applications here. So what we want, like one thing we discussed was building a walking track around Calvary Cemetery. I know that it has been in certain planning documents and very similar to something James did at Evergreen Cemetery. So I'm going to put my information down because we are a filter for that money to go to local agencies and organizations, but we can't create a project ourselves. We would love to partner with a community organization. Again, my name is Arturo, and I'll put my email down, and we'd love to get information from people in East LA who work with organizations so that we can get a grant application going and get more money into our community.
Yeah, I just wanted to uplift that we also talked about an ideal community prevents displacement and gentrification, and through permanent affordable housing and community land trusts.
Thank you, Roberto. I appreciate that.
And we discussed mentioning no police at bus stops and actually less police period in our communities. And Michelle actually eloquently shared the lack of creative outreach and community input in development. And we talked about zoning in our areas. So industrial zoning, not permitting industrial manufacturing and polluters in our communities, so close to residences as well. Another person had said in City of Terrace in particular, but I think that goes along the whole East LA.
Thank you, Tiff. And I wanted to just mention that Gemma from our group also put into the chat mentioning the Department of Public Health on Saturday, November 13th, is doing the East Los Angeles open house workshops. So another opportunity to share stories about how we can make East LA a better place to walk, bike, roll, as she puts it, and she put a link there as well. So. And Clara Solis, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, I don't think I heard mentioned, someone brought up that we need more parking, and also the pollution is a real problem and the traffic is a real problem. We would like to see less of it somehow if there's a way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll just take two more before we go back to the rest of our agenda items. So Eva Garcia.
Solo para decir sobre la vivienda asequible, que pues sí la requerimos y la queremos, pero que no la condicionen tanto, porque nuestras comunidades que más lo necesitan realmente no son beneficiadas con esta vivienda, y es una de las cosas que queremos, que no sean tan condicionadas, porque pues ponen tantos requisitos que al final de cuentas nuestra comunidad no la tiene.
Thank you, Eva. Let's see, Marina, I think, is on the other channel. James, I don't know if you're able to just summarize quickly what was shared.
I can also jump in if you need me
Oh,
to.
thank you, Erica.
She's basically saying that we want and we need affordable housing, but that she doesn't want as many restrictions that come along with it. That was in a nutshell. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared to interpret that.
That's okay, thank you. We do have it on the recording, so we can make sure that we get all of that content. Okay, let's see, Christy Hernandez.
Thank you. Yes, I would just say that some of the common things that came up during our conversation that I know I brought up was the fact that growing up, memories of being family oriented, community based, just that sense of community and faith, and being able to participate in certain traditions that allowed us to come together, whether it was like at a park, at a faith-based church or something of that sort, or a home. So I think that was just a good representative of like how we felt safe in our communities, and how we want to really be able to capture that now. And I know this is not about the childhood memories, but I did see someone talk about like free transit. And I just want to say that although that is definitely ideal, the truth of the matter is I feel like right now, someone else mentioned, we have a serious chronic parking issue that I don't think is going to be resolved overnight or in the next couple of years, because we're just overpopulated, and there continues to be more development. So we really need to look at how we help mitigate that and not exacerbate that issue even further.
Thank you, Christy. Okay, and I'm just going to do a quick time check. Gaurav, would you like us to hold on?
I don't know. There are a few more hands. I know a few people had wanted to express opinions and ideas that went beyond these two activities. So I just want them to have a forum to be able to share what they wanted to say. So just to the group that's still on the call, if you have anything else you want us to hear, any ideas you have, any issues you want us to address, feel free to either put it in the chat window or raise your hand and you can tell us directly. So I see Susan. Susan has a hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
Hi,
Susan,
can you hear me?
Oh, now I
I'm
can.
so sorry. I don't know why I'm having technical issues today. But anyhow, yeah, so I just kind of wanted to piggyback and just off of everything everybody said. It's actually, I'm in huge agreement with having more access to green spaces. I didn't get to participate in the activity. I was driving home from work, but I do remember my childhood memory seeing more trees. All our trees got chopped down from our street. I remember seeing butterflies. I'm currently raising butterflies. I'm trying to boost the monarch population. I'm here in East LA. I live right near Belvedere Park. I remember I used to go running around the track at ELAC with my mother, and that's closed to the public. It's been closed to the public for a few decades now. So I actually have to travel outside of our area just for me to exercise. I also want to mention that I founded a running group called East LA Runners. We've been established here in East LA for 4 years now. We create a safe space for people that would like to run or start running. And we meet up at Belvedere Park, and it's sad to say our streets are not very safe. We do have, I know Calvary Cemetery was mentioned a little while ago in regards to getting like a track around there, which would be great. Currently, one of our routes that we do run, we are running around the cemetery. There is a street going on Downey Street, and we actually avoid the sidewalk and run on this halfway, like it's like a half road on the cemetery side, because the actual sidewalk is popping up with roots. We've had runners fall, and it's sad that we can't even run on our own sidewalks in our own streets. Recently, we had the LA Marathon, and I took, I was able to carpool with some of our runners over there, and they were in awe of how clean and big the streets are in West LA. And I feel like, why don't we deserve that? Why can't we have clean, big streets? There's a lot of people that are active here in East LA. You see them running every day around the cemetery, around the parks. And it's just, it's sad that we don't have access to safe safe streets, so I just really want to advocate for that. Just safe streets, access to more green areas, safe spaces, because my goal is to build more of an active community, which we do have. We have lots of active people here, and just grow that community. And I just feel like a lot of us are going elsewhere. When we're not running with our group here, we are going elsewhere to exercise, or like it was mentioned earlier, like to go, have a nice dinner. We are going out of East LA, things like that. When I go grocery shopping, I go to Pasadena or Whittier, to be honest. I drive all the way over there just to go to Sprouts. So it's just, I just feel like, why can't we have those things? We have a really great community here with really great people. So I definitely would like to advocate for that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Susan. Great feedback. I appreciate you sharing that. Tiff, I see your hand raised again.
I just wanted to go ahead and Mark Lopez kind of hit the nail on the hammer right there, where he said immediate free transit can shift the trajectory of new drivers / car owners into public transit before they commit to an automobile as a primary form of transportation. And I just kind of wanted to emphasize that when we talk about fare-free transit, we're talking about electrified, zero emissions transit specifically.
Thank you. Thank you, Tiff. Christy, go ahead.
I think I also see Gemma raising her actual hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Gemma, why don't you go ahead?
Go ahead.
You can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I couldn't find my hand raised button. But I just wanted to say thank you all for sharing your stories. And we've been hearing, Public Matters has been hearing so many stories that are very interconnected to what everyone has been sharing about East LA. Each community has different certain issues that they're looking at, but also a lot of really great pride into what is possible and what has already been possible, and a lot of community organizing that has been happening. So I just really want to show face and show that I'm here, Hema, and I really hope that you guys can make it out to our upcoming community workshops. There's also will be more as this plan progresses. So this is not the only opportunity. And I also shared my email, feel free to reach out to learn more and to see what other ways you can participate besides these workshops. So yeah, thank you everyone for sharing.
Thank you so much, Emma. And I'll go back to Christy.
No, I'm not sure there are two Christies, but I know I didn't have my hand up.
Christy Hernandez? No? Okay.
There appear to be two Christy Hernandezes.
There are two, I see.
Yeah. Ariana has a hand up.
Go ahead, Ariana. Ariana, are you still with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to uplift to the entire group. It's really exciting to see everybody here and interested. One thing I would love to see happen is a rezone of the land uses of
Ariana?
Uh-huh. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
We can hear you.
Is a rezone of the industrial area. There's an industrial area on the northern part of City Terrace, and I don't know if folks are aware, but it actually impacts all of us in East LA and Boyle Heights as well. Ramona Gardens is actually in the 100th percentile for air pollution, which means it has more air pollution than basically every community in the rest of the state. And then, Northern City Terrace is in the 99th, and the rest of East LA is in the 90th or above. And this is not on accident. It's entirely on purpose. And I would like to see some real.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't know if you see in the chat, we're not hearing the interpretation in Spanish, and I think it's overlapping in the English channel.
Let me just hang on. Marina,
Sí. Gracias.
Should I go
right.
back?
Sure, but we'll give it another test. So sorry, keep talking and let us know in the chat if it's still not working.
Okay, and sorry everybody for having to hear this twice and me talking so long and taking up space, but basically there's an industrial park on the northern part of East Los Angeles, and it's not serving us, it's actually polluting us, it's making us sick, right? It's causing those of us who are super close headaches, nausea, things like that, but also just, we can't open our windows. The county has engaged lots of different studies, and East LA always tops the list for lack of green space, or for topping air pollution, or lacking access to fresh food. And this industrial park is certainly not helping us. And so, I would love to see some community has talked about a lot of amazing potential uses, right? And I think we can talk about what specifically it should be, but all of those ideas are much better ideas than the industrial park that it currently is. And the other point that I just want to reiterate is that this was a purposeful decision, right? This was a racist land use policy decades ago that was made, and that needs to be rectified. And we all deserve better. And like I said, it is closest to City Terrace, but it's all of East Los Angeles is in the 90th percentile or above, right? So we're all breathing this stuff, and it's asthma, it's cancer, it's reproductive health issues, issues in our children. And I just think that is a really, really critical issue that should be top of the list for looking at things for our community.
Thank you, Ariana. That's really helpful. Thank you so much. And I just want to make sure we have just a couple minutes left. And I know we do want to be respectful of everyone's time, and also give just a minute for our exit poll. So I'm going to go ahead and call on the last two hands here. Sam Solis.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sam Solis. I grew up here in the East LA community, and professionally now I'm an urban planner. And before I even make my comment, I just want to say that I'm here to speak on my own behalf, and these are my thoughts and opinions, and not on the behalf of my agency that I work for. I think in this long-range plan, I think we need to call out specifically and look for anti-displacement measures and studies to incorporate within this community. I think it's very important to it's important for equity and to really ensure that these folks in this population, in this community, don't get displaced or pushed out due to gentrification. I also think that this body as well needs to pursue the Los Angeles County Affordable Housing Agency solution again. I understand it failed in the legislature, but I think that's an important mechanism and tool to really find funding for affordable housing. I also think that we need to pursue more GHG mitigation efforts. In other efforts, I think we also need to pursue and incorporate more class 4 cycle tracks infrastructure throughout the community. We need more complete streets, as we've been hearing throughout this meeting. Another thing in regards to speaking of our major corridors like the 5, 67, 10, and etc., I think comprehensive multimodal corridor studies need to be examined to see what we can do. And I think specifically we should be calling out for freeway caps too, as mitigation measures, and to really reconnect communities that have come through our community and destroyed it. It's in fact sad that the 710 came through our community. I also think that this body needs to fully find innovative ways to use its local early action planning funding, its regional early action planning funds that the Southern California Association of Governments is putting out, and soon the regional early action planning grants of 2021. I think those full measures really impact this community. In regards to other things that we need to consider is most important climate resiliency. These are measures that we really need. Our communities are getting hotter and we have a lot of issues with climate resiliency. And another thing that we need to touch on is economic development opportunities for our local businesses, parking for our local businesses and things of that nature. And again, more transit opportunities, whether that's free or reduced transit options for this particular community. Those are my comments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Sam. And I know we need to conclude shortly, so I'm going to add a link to the project website. Right on the home page is you just click a button to take the community survey. That would be fantastic if you guys can do that, and you'll be able to share more of your feedback there. Gaurav and let's see, and Erica, do you think we have enough time to take one more hand here, or
sure.
we need to get to
we are happy to stay as long as the rest of the folks are willing to stay on. I know some of you may need to leave at 6:30, but if anyone needs to make sure we hear what you want to say, we're here to listen. So
Great.
go ahead.
Great. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take Christy Hernandez.
I think I see who it is. It says Jesus Huerta, but it says my name for some reason.
Jesus?
Jesus, your hand is up.
No wonder. I probably because I used your link. I'm sorry. My name is Jesus Huerta. I'm a resident and business owner for East LA pretty much all of my life. And I'd like to comment that definitely, yes, we've been overpopulated in different senses, vehicles, people, and over construction of schools and other residentials, and well, I advocate for business and personally and for the residents because I live and work and own business in East LA. But one of my worries is about seeing so many commercial corridors taken by schools and residential. They call it mixed use, but still there is the majority of the construction square footage is residential. Yes, we are in the need of residential, but there are other areas where those can be built. One of the areas that I believe Hema mentioned about, it's that area, the industrial area will be a great site.
I think
Jesus, you're on mute.
And in the options, but staying only in those main corridors in East LA and taking away possible tax base and income for the community. So my suggestion is try to allow and make changes and move to other areas like that industrial area. And there's many other places where they can build. I don't know why they continue to build in Atlantic Boulevard and Whittier Boulevard and Olympic, Cesar Chavez, and all those corridors that are meant to be as commercial. So that is my personal opinion. And also definitely we need more green spaces and a solution for the parking. The parking, I've been advocating for parking changes for over 15 years and haven't seen one single thing change in the positive direction. And there has to be something done because this is only getting worse and worse. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I did put a link to the community survey for those that do need to hop off. I just want to make sure that you saw that. All right. Any other feedback before we get back to our presentation and exit poll?
Just one more comment. This is one of several conversations we're going to be having, right?
Absolutely. Yes, we're very, very early in the process. So there are going to be not only a lot more opportunities, but a diverse array of different types of opportunities that you'll be able to stay engaged.
And the plan you're putting together is a long-term plan.
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for those questions. Felix.
Yes. One thing that I would like to add was that I was involved with regional planning where they declined a permit for another storage facility to be built, like across the street from my property. And next to that is where that trucking business is. And I brought up the topic of green space. And what regional planning told me was that that entire area is forever toxic, meaning we can't build any residence, no housing can be built there. So it's like, what do you do with an area like that?
Thank you. Thank you for that comment, Felix. Well, we'll be considering all of these as we get through the process. Okay, and I see we're still going pretty active on the chat, so that's great.
I just want to jump in and say I'm really glad to be sharing space with folks here. A lot of great and different perspectives, which I think just really adds to the conversation, regardless of where we are on the spectrum. I was born and raised here in East Los Angeles. I'm now a homeowner. I sort of live and play and work and just really active. So it's great to see new faces and these different perspectives, and the fact that there are different movements sort of going on here to really help our community thrive, because I think the quality of life is so important. So whatever we brought up today, I think at the end of the day, it all falls on the fact that we really need to improve the quality of life from what we remember growing up to what we envision it to be. I think we sort of want to come back to that. And how do we do it? So I really appreciate folks bringing up, issues about air pollution, about, transit, about housing, green space. All that is so important. I think we just have to continue to, uplift each other and our different causes, and to just serve as advocates, because there's just so much happening, including this metro area plan. And I will continue to circle back on one thing that I continue to see is the development. There's like that Third and Dangler project that went up. Initially, they said it was going to be 78 units with 39 parking spaces. And this is just an example of how, we trust that the county and regional planning and all these other entities are going to do what's right in best interest of our community. And that's not always the case. So, we need to continue to be having these conversations with folks that are going to be making these decisions, because as someone who has studied, policy on paper is very different to the implementation and the unintended consequences that we see in our communities. And we are telling you here firsthand what we're seeing, from parking to green space to housing to air pollution to the way that, entities like, in Vernon, Exide, there you go, the Exide company there, and how that's really impacted our families. So, and then for me, from what I'm seeing here, like, there are single family homes that are being demolished. And then now there's duplex, triplex. That's, again, exacerbating parking. But again, we talk about green space, and there's not even green space on someone's home. Like, how equitable is that? Like, these are things that we also need to be mindful of. So when you all are talking about land policy and zoning, and when we're hearing from the state that they have like this housing element, which is, it's saying that we have to build 90,000 additional units, and then they're going to be rezoning the area. Like, these things are very concerning. So please keep us posted about upcoming meetings so that we can continue to inform this conversation based on what we're seeing here on the ground. And so we can help bring more people to this conversation and to the table, because there's just so much that we've said here, but so much more out there that folks, I think that folks can also share to enliven this conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christy. And, we're seeing, I think that the representation here this evening has been really wonderful. A lot of diverse folks and third, fourth, fifth generation residents of East LA. So we just really appreciate everyone coming here this evening, and there will be lots more opportunities to come. And I am hearing that we do need to launch the exit poll, just because I know some of you folks do need to jump off. So if we could go ahead and launch that exit poll right now, and it's very brief. So if you could all just participate in that, it would be greatly appreciated. And you can also continue to add your feedback into the chat box as well after you take the poll. And as this is launching as well, I just want to take a quick pause and see if Patricia or Erica wanted to make any sort of concluding statements on behalf of the county, as I know folks need to start jumping off too. So,
Erica, do you want to go ahead, or I can go?
Well, yeah, Pat, do you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. Yeah. So I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to have this conversation with us. And I just want you all to know that we're going to be listening throughout the next 2 years of this project. And so this is just an actual moment in time that we're having this meeting. But if you go to our website, you can sign up to receive email updates as well as other meetings. I think Asha will probably talk more about the timeline. If not, I could also talk more later on that. But so I just want to thank you for that. And then also add that Erica and I will actually be at Salazar Park on November 13th, that's this coming Saturday, where public health is doing their workshop. So they invited us to join them so that you can find out about the pedestrian planning that they're doing for East LA, which a lot of what you're talking about, all are talking about. They are going to, help address. They're getting really focused in their pedestrian plan, and we're trying to work closely with them. And we're going to try to look at the land use and zoning issues that some of you have brought up through our plans. So that's kind of how things are going to interact. But Erica and I are going to be there. Erica speaks Spanish. So if you bring somebody, I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately. I tried, but it didn't take. But we'll be there to try to answer questions and also hand out hard copies of the surveys. So if you want to pick some up and give them to your friends, or just ask us questions, come on by the park on Saturday. So we'll be there from 10 to 12.
Yeah, and I wanted to just point out that, in our breakout session, a lot of folks did say that they're so appreciative of the weekend events. And a lot of people work really hard during the week and sometimes double shifts, and it's really hard to make it to these, weeknight events. So again, we really appreciate you being here, and, happy that part of our team is able to join this effort, this open house.
And then can I also just add that I just want to echo Pat's sentiment that we are listening to you all. And I was in the breakout room and I didn't say much, but I'm here to listen. So I want you to know that we're doing that, and that I think from all of us that we are very committed to this community outreach and to having you guys here and to hear your voices and your visions for the community. And aside from that, I do want to mention that, yes, we'll be there on Saturday at Salazar Park. We have a few more virtual sessions, and then we plan on having more community outreach sessions next year in the spring as well. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here tonight, and I hope that you continue to stay involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica and Patricia and everyone for being here. And we will conclude with this slide, which shows that we are here, Wednesday, November 10th, in the midst of some of our just really beginning public engagement efforts and visioning sessions. I did put a link to the community survey into the chat. There's also the Metro Area Plan email. And as was also mentioned earlier, if you go to planning.lacounty.gov/Metro Area Plan, we are collecting everything there. So there's going to be the recordings of all of the virtual engagement efforts that we're embarking on will be available there to watch at your convenience. If you know of other folks that couldn't be here today, please do pass that information along. The community survey is available there. I wanted to mention as well that through the survey, you can continue to share more of your thoughts. There's an online map where you can show the county exactly where, those enhancements that we're talking about, crosswalks, wider sidewalks, safer sidewalks, trees, all that great stuff. So, and I know Gaurav just put that again into the chat. So it's fresh there. You can go ahead and see that. And again, we just thank you so much for all the great participation today.
Will you also be able to share this information with us via email now that you have our emails once we RSVP? It'd be great to also receive them so we can share them with others, share this information with others.
Absolutely. Yes. If you registered for any of the events to date, or if you visited the project website and entered your email address, you're definitely on our list. If you have any sort of uncertainty if you're on the list or not, you can absolutely use this email address listed here to let us know, or again, visit the website and enter your email address there to make sure that you're on the list. All right, and thanks again, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for the conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, I'm ending the meeting. Bye all.